In this ViaRender video, we're going to take a look at some more tips and tricks for working with Twinmotion. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, tip number one, using some of the Megascans assets in order to affect the landscape. So a lot of times, if you want to add undulating landscape, you're probably tempted to come in and use the terrain tools to sculpt, but you're going to get a pretty bad result. Quite simply, the default ground plane within Twinmotion just isn't good enough, doesn't really have enough detail, and it doesn't seem to be able to self-tessellate to give you those kind of nice organic shapes. One thing you can actually do, though, is come into Megascans. We're going to go to 3D Assets, and we're going to go to Nature, and we're going to click on Embankment. Now, for this, you can use pretty much any of these. Let's say, for example, we just grab one of the snow assets. I'm going to download this little one here. And what I need to do is basically place this into my scene. Now, this technique is going to be really, really good if we need to be able to add relatively medium level changes in the topography or the landscape. So here we go. I have got maybe this rocky road over here, and I've got my snow asset. Now, in order to use this, I can come in. You can just crash this directly into the landscape, but you can actually come up here to the scale tool, hit the scale tool, and just scale this down on the blue axis. Now, there we go. You can see I've basically come in here and dropped this down. I'm still getting the overall shape of the model, but I'm able to adjust it and skew it a little bit. Once I have that done, I can use the eyedropper on my ground material, which in this case is just mossy ground, and drag that out. Now, in some cases, it won't look perfect. And what will be really important is that you come up to UVs and maybe put this on world space. You can see when we do that, we get a much better mapping result. It's not perfect. You can still see some little edges here. But for the most part, this is enough to give you kind of like an irregular surface when you're working with maybe home environments or just a landscape that you don't want it to be just completely flat, which is a little bit unnatural. Next tip for SketchUp users. If you're coming from SketchUp, it can be very tempting just to build your scene in SketchUp, decorate it using SketchUp models from the warehouse, send it over to Twinmotion, and then think, I'm done. That's pretty much it. I just got to set up my lighting and then go ahead and render. However, if we take a look at, for example, this model right here, most SketchUp models that come over, particularly just from the warehouse, maybe exploded, maybe not, you'll notice that they look very, very flat. One of the reasons for this is basically SketchUp is going to send over, for the most part, just the geometry and the default texture maps. Now, the texture maps in previous versions of SketchUp probably weren't even physically based materials, literally just basically a picture. You want to make sure that in Twinmotion, that no matter what the object is, that you do at least come in here, use the eyedropper on the material. You can see here we've just got basically a grayish black material. It's actually set to chrome, but if this was coming from SketchUp, it would just be flat. It would probably just be like a black material, black color. And so what you need to do is on every one of these materials, make sure that at the very minimum, you come in and you adjust the roughness for every single material. Now, for a metal like this, you're going to take the roughness down pretty low, and you want to make sure that we take up the metallic. Now, you can probably take both of these up to the lowest or highest values. However, just being mindful of that, that might be a little bit too pronounced, but this will make all of your assets look a little bit better. So if we use that dropper on this really nice little dog model as well, you'll see I don't necessarily want this to be like completely zero rough. I want a little bit of roughness, but it is supposed to be a metallic object. So I'm going to take the metal slider up, maybe just around 50. And I think that will look pretty nice. So basically on every single surface, you want to make sure that at minimum, you're adjusting the roughness. Now, strictly speaking, in a PBR workflow, objects are either metallic or they're not. But most models these days, you would use a metallic map, which is a black and white map, to designate metal areas or non-metal areas. That's not really something that most users will have to do in Twinmotion. You do, however, just want to make sure that if something is supposed to be metallic, that you at least take up the metallic slider at minimum about 50, and you can go a little bit higher than that as well. Otherwise, your assets are going to look really flat and very fake. If you're using Twinmotion 2025, either 0.1 or 0.2, the current release, probably notice that it seems to be very resource hungry. Now, My understanding of this is, for whatever reason, the current version of Twinmotion likes to use the entirety of your GPU. It seems to want to run it the entire time at max settings. So for example, if we go back to our Twinmotion scene here, and I go to my stats, you'll notice that this would be up in the around the 200s to 300s for me. However, it's capped at 60. Now, I did this because it seemed to not just be trying to pull on the GPU constantly, it was also causing a lot of heating for my CPU. How do we fix this? Well, we actually need to cap the amount of resources that Twinmotion can actually use. More specifically, capping the frames per second. In order to do this, you'll need to use the NVIDIA control panel. You might be able to use the cooler, shinier NVIDIA app, but this is a pretty safe way to do it. What we need to do is basically just go to Program Settings, and then we'll click Add, and you'll want to find, for example, here it's the C Program Files, Epic Games, Twinmotion. Mileage may vary, might depend a little bit on where you've actually got this stored. And all you do then is click on the executable file. It'll be the .exe. Now, once you do that, you'll have a lot of options here, but one of the most important things is going to be the ability to set the max frames per second. In order to do that, scroll on down to where it says max frame rate, and go ahead and put it at 60. Now, this will basically override Twinmotion's default settings, which is going to be very power hungry, very CPU hungry, and cap the program at 60 frames per second, which is more than enough for most users. When you do this, you will notice a massive improvement in pretty much the temperature of your GPU and also the CPU. Basically, you're forcing Twinmotion to basically cap its frames at 60. And this will help performance a lot, also help with stability, and it'll also help with some of those errors you tend to get when you've had Twinmotion open for a very long time and it decides to crash. So, cap those frames. Did you know in Twinmotion, you can actually make your own decals? Give an example. So here we are, Library Megascans, Decals Leakage Tileable. We'll just drag out one of these guys really quickly. And you can see this is just one of those kind of, noisy decals for making things look kind of grungy and gross. Now, what's important here is to actually just make sure you select the decal. And what we're looking for in particular is going to be the color option right here. And you'll see we have the option, here's the embedded texture. And this one actually doesn't have an opacity map on it. So I'll give you an example. If you open up, for example, a image file that has transparency like a PNG, let's take a look at that. Click open, and there we go. We've loaded up our ViaRender logo. That's because this is a PNG, and so transparency is actually a part of the image file. Now, if you want to do something different, though, one thing we can also do is load up other materials as well. Let's take a look. So here we've loaded up a Quixel Megascans. This is just a scratches, pretty much just literally just a scratches from the old Megascans collections. And then what I need to do is basically put an opacity map in there. I can use any opacity map, or I can paint one in Photoshop. Or if I just want to add some wear and tear, just what I can do is just select this guy, go copy, and go down to the opacity map and paste that in. And now you can see we've got some wear and tear on our decals. Now, you do have to be mindful about the actual color and things like that, but it's just really cool to be able to do this within Twinmotion. And you could experiment or build your own decal library of little bits of wear and tear and things like that. And then in order to make this look a little better, we just got to make sure that we can adjust the opacity here so we're getting some of that effect, but not the entirety. And also just the luminosity as well, if we want to make this grungier or a little bit lighter. And we can also come in and adjust the saturation to fine tune and the gain and all of those just to get the look that we're actually going for. Use cases, probably very few, but it's just cool to be able to do this. Also means you can put your own branding on the actual buildings instead of a little watermark. Next tip. Even though there isn't, strictly speaking, a direct sort of live sync between Blender and Twinmotion, although there really should be, and somebody would really should need to get on that. Just not me, because I don't know what I'm doing. But you can actually get access to pretty much almost everything within the Blender universe and send it over to Twinmotion. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do that. For example, say we just go up here and we're going to just search for a coffee machine, and I'm using the Polyhaven just asset browser, and I'm looking for a coffee machine. You do want to come up here to the right, and now I'm using the free version at the moment. I've just downloaded a coffee machine, this really beautiful looking coffee machine. Now, by the way, you could use there's let me see, there's Polyhaven, there's iMesh, like there's so many different asset browsers out there. In fact, even Blender itself has its own inbuilt asset browser. All you have to do is just get your model, bring it into your scene. Now, here's the important thing. You could just select everything and go File, Export, FBX, and that will get you kind of a decent result. However, lately I've been encouraged to use another file format, which is really cool, but not that well known about, I think, because I didn't know that much about it. And that is export and using this GLTF 2.0. This seems to do a really good job transferring Blender stuff, Blender content like meshes and materials and things like that over to Twinmotion. It's really, really cool. I'll show you the end results. By the way, when you do go to export this, we'll go File, Export, GTLF. You do want to look at the over here on the right and just make sure that you're making that all of this is kind of like how you want it to be. The main thing for me was just materials. I set the image quality to 100 and the export, make sure I'm exporting my materials as best I can. Strictly speaking, we're not exporting the materials because Blender uses a whole different material setup. But when we bring this into Twinmotion, I'm going to show you. The one on the left is a coffee FBX. It's not bad per se. It doesn't really have the, well, kind of looks a bit rubbish, honestly. It is an FBX. I did set it to collapse by material when it came in, and I can select all these little bits and bobs and all this and that. However, the other export method, the GLB one, that just looks, well, better. It just seems to come in a much higher level of just everything. I mean, got some of the materials hand transferred over, and some of the asset parts are selectable. So I can kind of come in here and change, for example, the glass material and things like that. It's not perfect, and obviously there is no exact data live sync, data smith, whatever you want to call it. But this is really, really cool. Even if you're not a Blender user, you can download, turn on Blender, search for assets, and send them over to Twinmotion without really having to know much about Blender itself. Now, one last tip on this, depending on who built the model and how it's built, you may, however, want to come to the modeling mode, just right-click, and then convert to a mesh. So if you're an old 3D Studio Max user like me, this is kind of equivalent to like resetting the X forms and just collapses all those modifiers into a single object. But this is so cool. You can do this for like everything that you can get in Blender. As long as you can convert it into a mesh, you can send it over to Twinmotion. And that's a lot of really cool stuff.